Hey everyone, welcome to Maych TV. What's happening? I am down in London at Spotify. I have been graciously invited onto the Ripple Effect podcast by my good friend James Allcott. It is our yearly tradition and an absolute pleasure to be able to get down to London town for a bit. We've done chapter and verse on all of Liverpool's problems. We've predicted what Liverpool are going to look like
sort of
by 2029, which is just, I have never felt more unsure about my football club than when someone said to me, what's it going to look like in 3 years from now? I was like, wow, I don't know who the manager's going to be. I don't know who the
I think that has to be the
formation.
point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That has to be the point with Liverpool, because you can't. It makes me nervous as someone's supposed to be able to like analyze a football match. It always feels caught between two like Venn diagrams of styles of play, and I think that is the answer. That's the problem. You kind of need to commit to something.
Well, I'm interested to sort of get your take on all this, to be honest, because I've spoken a lot about it. I'm developing feelings on things, and I was trying to rationalise it. But I am fascinated to I'm always more interested in what the outside take is sometimes, because you're not living in it. So it is easy to see it from outside, and not necessarily that your take is going to be correct, but actually I'm interested to see how much of the stuff that I think is important has gotten out via osmosis, or you've picked up upon, or whatever. So look, Liverpool are not going to defend their Premier League title this season.
Looks like
Agreed?
Yeah, I mean, a great story. If you kind of get it done. I think the thing is I always look at it from a points perspective, and I can't see Arsenal not getting 85 points. Same for Man City, and I don't see you guys getting to that number. So
yeah. I agree. But obviously, we've done a big old chat as well about, obviously, Ruben Amorim's gone from Manchester United, Maresca's gone from Chelsea, and what I think is quite interesting about that is that I think it's brought the slot conversation and his position conversation back to the forefront. That, and drawing a couple of games that we reasonably would have been expected to win in any other season. I will remind people once again that we did lose to Fulham last year, but that's fine.
Already won the league, though, didn't you?
Yeah. They were in a much stronger position. They were entitled to lose that game in April or whatever, when they were coursing towards the 20th league title. But yeah, it's kind of come back on the docket a little bit, because it's a thing the football clubs do. Look. What are your thoughts on Arne Slot as Liverpool manager? What are your thoughts in general on the situation that Liverpool have found themselves in?
I'm struggling with, and we kind of alluded to it a little bit, I'm struggling with the identity thing here a little bit. I think Liverpool are such a unique case, like, in football, and like, I think I've said it before, it's like, generally, if you don't support a team and you're looking around, Liverpool's a great option, because they're their own island and they have such history. They sort of stand for something, and I think that's why Klopp was so exciting for Liverpool, even when it wasn't totally going right. And that's the thing we're seeing with other clubs a lot of the time. It's like the sort of winning and losing. It's not enough. Like, it's kind of how as well becomes quite important when there's so much noise. So I'm struggling with what I'm seeing a little bit, because it feels like there's a few different ideas. Like, we were just talking about, say, like Szoboszlai and the energy and the running that he offers, and I think most people say Szoboszlai has been the best player for you this year. How much of that is down to kind of what he's doing from an output point of view, and how much is it doing from his like hunger and energy and desire, which is something that you kind of, at the very least, you want to see that. And I think with Liverpool, you're so used to that as a flaw, that if that drops down in a sense of like, oh no, we're just being a bit more composed. Composed is fine, but you better win.
Yes.
And I think, or it should just look like gorgeous. Right, I think you're struggling with that a little bit.
It's interesting, because there was a time when Dirk Kuyt played for Liverpool, and he brought a centre forward. Rafa pushed him to the right wing, and the one thing you could say about him, he wasn't a regular goal scorer, but God, he'd work his nuts off for the team. He would like the Energizer Bunny type of thing. He'd run endlessly for you, and throughout times of Liverpool teams in different eras, you can always spot the isolated player who's really like that. Gerrard, when he first burst in, just all energy and fight and desire, etc., etc. under Klopp, you stopped saying that about players because it became the norm.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a thing where I think you're right on the Szoboszlai stuff of he has actually also played really well, and he's got a great free kick against Arsenal. He's added a bit more output, it feels, to his game. But he's also done a great job at right back when called upon there. But the thing is, yeah, it's that thing of it. It's so noticeable how into it he is and how up for it is, which wins over hearts and minds.
He's a great example that he is your best player. Everyone knows that. No one knows where he plays.
Yes.
No one knows where he definitely has to play. That's it. And so the reason you're liking him is because of all those things that you know are what a Liverpool player is. And yeah, we touched on it as well with the podcast, talking about the podcast I did with Chris when Klopp was leaving, like that. I think this Klopp way, I think that is, my gut says that is Liverpool now in this era and generation. And I think it's one that I think it's an identity that you should actually hold on to and stick with, because I think you can dying on your sword is the Liverpool. I think that has become the Liverpool way. Yes. I don't think you want to be Man City.
Yeah.
So I think that makes my gut call be that this isn't going to work.
Can I ask a question to you though? Because I know you're a bit more over the sort of tactical trends across the Premier League in general, and obviously we all know this sort of general sense of become a little bit more. Okay, it's probably slightly offensive, but you know what I mean? It's been a bit more agricultural at times this season. Teams have gone a lot more direct with the fact that long throw-ins are back. Long throw-ins are being treated like corners. You know, like you get 30 seconds to prepare yourself and get set up for them and all that kind of stuff. We touched upon the pressing stuff very early on in your podcast as well. Is that, if pressing has been figured out, let's say in a broad sense, how do you maintain that identity, if you get me?
Right.
You know, I know one of Chris's big bugbears is that Liverpool have moved to more of a mid-block.
Yeah.
And that just leaves you in a bit of a mush in between things. But cool, you know, you want to be high tempo and get in people's faces, but if they're just bypassing it, is that there's dying on your sword when it's like heroic, but there's dying on your sword when you're just being stupid.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think, look, pressing or not pressing, you've all got to do it. Like the Fulham goal is Szoboszlai pressing, no one else pressing. And I think the problem you've got is that front line, Jota, Diaz, Núñez, they work so hard. And prior to that, you know, say not as incredible, or your first thought of them is pressing Salah and Mane and Firmino, but you had Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Milner behind them.
Yeah.
So it was so kind of assertive in that style of play. And the point of a press a lot of the time is that you do play long, because then you get the ball back quicker.
Yeah.
Or you play something stupid and we'll win it here. I think the problem is I don't think Wirtz has got that. He's never getting close enough, in my opinion. Gakpo's not really that great at it either. Salah doesn't want to do it and didn't do it last year, so thinks he shouldn't have to do it anymore. And Ekitike, I think, is kind of trying to do it, but maybe doesn't have that same like snarl and tenacity that front line does. So I think that's breaking it up as well. So then Slot's gone, okay, let's be a little bit more careful. And again, to your point, that opens it up to teams being able to like play it through you. So yeah, I think they kind of you've got to make a decision on one or the other. I think generally, if you look at Man City, the way that they press, they still press. They've got Cherki in that team. They've got Foden in that team. They use the touchline to press the opposition, and they all do it. They all do, to the point that Cherki on the right hand side, if there's a goal kick, they force them to play over to that side, and Cherki will be past the halfway line on the other side for when it breaks so that they can go. And that's not happening here at Liverpool. And so that's a problem, because I think if you go long, you've got like Van Dijk win the header. Yeah. Konate will win the header. It's when it drops.
And this is also maybe a bit of an issue in terms of squad construction. It's different when you've got a prime Fabinho in there a little bit, or again, as you say, three lads who look. Wijnaldum was a winger. Jordan Henderson was not like a defensive midfielder. James Milner trained as a winger.
Was a winger, yeah.
You know, these are not lads who were necessarily, you know, cloggers who came through the ranks as we love to kick people up in the air for a living, but they were at least mentally conditioned to be combative in what they do. And I'm not sure there's enough of that in that midfield to do that, if that's the case.
Do you know what I think is wildly underrated and was such a huge thing about Liverpool and all those players that you're mentioning? And do you know what a great example of it was one of the Man United games, probably last season, Man United away. You pumped them, didn't you? I'm sure you did. Might be 3-0. And the amount of times I'd watch, because pressing's one way, going that way and getting back on side and winning the ball. Jota did that hundreds of times. Luis Diaz would do that hundreds of times. They kind of enjoyed that, like, he doesn't know I'm coming and I'm going to get him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's got harder because teams are being quicker in terms of how they're moving forward. But
I see that.
I feel like that's been lost as well.
I see that in Wirtz, and what I see in Wirtz is actually Lallana, and I think Lallana had that ability, and I think Ekitike's got it in that. I think they both quite enjoy nicking the ball off people and getting in people's faces, but they're not, I'm going to volley you up in the air and do it kind of plays. It's a very subtle difference. It means that if it's a 50-50, they probably will pull out of it. But actually, if it's a chance to be cute and kind of and stick and then get the ball and move it onward, they'll have it. But that is a bit of my overriding sense of like. But
as a one that's not that effective. If it's like when there's that feeling that like we're gonna get him like that, I think that's been lost. Yes. It's about the collective. Like I'm not sure like everyone's at it. And like, are they knackered? Like, are they getting injured? Is that a thought that's in Slot's mind so that he wants the team to be a bit more like careful and controlled in what they're doing? I really hate the way the fullbacks play for Liverpool. It just in my head, I'm like, get out a little bit further wide. Like that just sort of annoys me. They're always just a little bit too narrow.
What do you make of the Kirkes Gakpo axis on the left hand side? Because we did. I said something on an earlier podcast, and you went
So I watched. I'm able to get access to the tactical cam through the Premier League, and one of the first games I watched was Liverpool Palace, and I think it's changed a little bit. Van Dijk was going. He was sort of turning out my game. He did not want to pass to him, and Gakpo, in his mind, Kirkes is just a player to take someone away. Because he wants to come in this way and he is never going to play that pass to him when he makes his run. So Kirkes would make these sometimes Kirkes was too narrow and that was annoying me because he's redundant there. Bournemouth, he was much higher up. And then when he did get a little bit further wide, he was just a decoy for Gakpo. So that didn't work for me. I much prefer Wirtz and Kirkes because Wirtz both will kind of come inside. I think Curtis Jones, as whoever that midfielder would be on that side, can be a part of it as well. But Kirkes, if he makes that run, I think there's more chance of him being found, be it Wirtz playing to Ekitike, who plays it to him, or Wirtz finding him himself. So, because if you've bought Kirkes and you've bought Frimpong, you've not seen either of them really at their best, and that's an issue.
Well, even the Frimpong stuff's mad because we were trying to work out like what formation are they going to play? Are they going to move towards a more central thing? Are wingers out, not in anymore? And then you watch Frimpong since he's come back playing right wing, and he set up like 3 goals in that time since he's done it by crossing the ball right footed from the right hand side, which feels like such a throwback in and of itself. And whether that's sustainable, I don't know. But what he is, he's dynamite. He's electric. Yeah. He's down that right. We haven't seen pace down that right hand side since Salah's first couple of seasons at the club. And so you sometimes think, is this by design? And is it an indicator of what he's going to move forward with? Or is this one of those happy accidents that you stumble upon and then it becomes the plan? Because, I guess time's going to tell on that. But everything about it just don't know. It feels to me this season's very like he's trying to fix problems and get something working as opposed to delivering on his grand master plan for things.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got. It'd be interesting to see if he has got the master plan or not. I think if you're seeing, say, Leeds' upturning results is down to them, instead of kind of playing wider triangles, they play through the middle now a lot more. They're going quite long ball, you probably would have seen recently, but they've got a lot of bodies in the middle. Same with Man City. Like Man City, they have both like for the goal, but in several instances, I did a match reaction and kind of was able to get a few of the screenshots. They've always got bodies in those kind of central areas, and when that happens, yes, there's less space, but Cherky's in there and Foden's in there, and that width is coming from Nico O'Reilly and Nunez, or Bernardo Silva will go there because Cherky's gone for a little run somewhere else. So I think Liverpool, I think they will move to that where Frimpong, in the positions that you're talking about, he'll end up there, but kind of without the ball, he goes back and plays right back. And if you've got some more bodies in the middle, you can go and win it back quicker. And against teams that are going to defend for their lives, you've got not only, let's use this Man City example, you've not only got Cherky kind of starts there but doesn't want to be there, he sort of steps in. You've then got someone who can go in that position and feel comfortable where he's going. That is what Pep's doing. He's got all these players, and despite people thinking he's maybe a bit rigid, he's going, what does everyone want to do here? And he's allowing them all to do what they want to do. At Liverpool, I think he's got to go Kerkez, Frimpong, Wirtz, Szoboszlai. What do you want to... Ekitike and those guys. What do you guys want to do, and how can we make it work for everyone here? And that, I think that Man City blueprint might be the future.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, I think that this is a bit of an issue that we're finding at the moment, is that every time he hits upon something that gets the best out of one player, it totally negates another.
Right.
So you find a way to get Wirtz working, and you're dead right. Kerkez, Jones, Wirtz looks quite good on the left-hand side. That's been the shining light of the turnaround in form. Right. But Szoboszlai hasn't been as good in those games as a result. So and I guess it's that thing of like, is this all what we're seeing in this unbeaten run? Because we're saying this, sometimes you feel a bit churlish, going like, oh, it's crap. When you're not losing football matches, most people watch a losing football team every week. That's the nature of footy.
But you know, Szoboszlai, sorry, just say on that, him being the other guy, he's a great other guy. Yeah. Like last year, he was the other guy. Like, people weren't really talking about him. It would be you guys talking about him because you're seeing him, and he's not Salah. He's I don't want to say a facilitator, but like if you've got Wirtz in there, he's not going to be. He can't be the guy. He's going to be the other guy. But that's a great other guy.
Well, yeah, and to your point, I guess, is that Liverpool need to figure out who their other guys are. And need to make, well, this is what you've got to do. And I think Curtis Jones has realised that that's his pathway into the football team, by the way, is that he's not going to score 20 goals a season and get 20 assists. But if he can be the guy who makes Florian Wirtz better, then he's going to find his way in the team more regularly. And maybe that's a mentality shift for a few other lads in there, really, of, they're going to have to be some more water carriers in the team if they want the rest to succeed. Interesting. Thanks so much for that, James. I wish your insight was, it's all fine. It's just unlucky and everything's going to be okay. But we'll see.
The one thing I'll finish with, I stand by what I said at the start of the season. And the reason I didn't put that Liverpool winning the league was it's too much change. That doesn't mean that, there are long-term problems here. Like, you've got a set of amazing players there. So it's one of those where you maybe got to go backwards to go forwards. Yeah. So it's not too bad.
Fingers crossed. Yes, I am over on the Ripple Effect, chatting more about Liverpool. What Liverpool can look like in 2029 was fascinating. So do go and check that out. And we had a good old chat about some of the more topical things, including, of course, Ruben Amorim and Enzo Maresca's decisions to either leave or be sacked, whichever it actually was in reality. So do go and check both those out. And I'm also going to task James with creating an alternate all-time Premier League 11. So keep your eyes peeled for that one as well.